noon hour is here.
Check it out.
And you're locked on to Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio station.
It's my station. It's my station.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome in 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard. Happy Tuesday, everybody. How you doing? Doing all right?
Yeah, I've been waiting for this piece from Kurt Heelan. It finally dropped today.
Oh, yeah?
Kurt Heelan, who is a show favorite. We love Kurt.
Joins us every week.
He just put out a piece that says, it's time to start believing in the Bucks. And I've been waiting for this moment. Because I made that prediction a long time ago when they signed Damian Lillard. I thought, geez, man, how could the pairing of Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard, when you didn't give a, and they've been waiting for Middleton to return, and Portis is doing his thing, and they didn't really give up a lot. And I thought to myself, how could they not be the number one contender in the East by giving up just a couple of little pieces, bringing in Damian Lillard, fortifying your scoring, giving Antetokounmpo something that he can push towards and that other teams have to pay attention to? I thought, man, how could this team not be a team, as long as they stayed healthy, a team that makes a push for the Eastern Conference Championship?
Yep.
And finally, Kurt puts out this piece. They are playing some better basketball. They went on that 6-game winning streak that you and I were talking about a couple days ago. I think we were talking about it when we had Kurt on.
Yep.
Maybe it was just last week. But they lost a couple of games to Golden State and the Lakers, and then they beat the Clippers last night, or actually 2 nights ago, and finally putting some basketball together. And Lillard's starting to click with 41, 35-point performances. Giannis is still doing his thing, and they're getting healthier, but I'm going to stay with my prediction. I still think the Bucks come out of the East, Scotty.
Yeah. I like it, man.
I'm staying with the prediction.
Hey, we got a little bit of breaking news right here on the Zone. And it's actually pretty entertaining because hold on, I want to make sure that I have this. I don't know if this audio is going to come across.
And what a way to end it.
This is Danny Sprinkle from postgame.
Seriously, it's like I said. I mean, if he's not MVP of this league, then I'm never voting again. Don't even ask me for that.
He's talking about Darius?
He's talking about Darius Brown.
Yeah.
So Danny Sprinkle said, if Darius Brown is not MVP of this league, I'm never voting again.
Yeah.
Well, the Mountain West Conference Awards were just released. Darius Brown was not voted MVP, but guess who was? Great Osobor.
Yeah. Coach can't ever vote again.
So Coach technically can't ever vote again because Great Osobor is the MVP, which I did not anticipate. I thought it was going to be Jaden Ledee was going to be the MVP of the league. But Great Osobor earns Mountain West Conference Player of the Year honors. Not Darius Brown, who his coach campaigned for publicly to be Player of the Year, but his teammate ends up being Player of the Year.
Well, do you agree? If you had to pick a Player of the Year off of that team, would it be Great?
I would go probably Great.
It feels like it more runs through him defensively, and offensively it at least pushes towards him. But Darius is the general. I mean, he's the leader. He's the captain.
Darius Brown made first team. Tyson Dagenhart, Isaiah Stevens, Jaden Ledee, Darius Brown, Great Osobor are your first team. Let's see if there's any Utah State guys on the second team there or not. Third team, nobody on the third team. Fourth team, or the all-defensive team.
Did Falslev show up anywhere?
No, he didn't. Let's see. Falslev. Wow, Falslev didn't even make honorable mention. That's
What?
surprising. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I know it was a stacked league, but what? He was spectacular.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by that.
A real ball of energy.
Yeah, I'm actually.
Darius
was
Darius
first
made
team?
first team. Darius made all defensive team. In fact, yeah, Utah State had 2 guys on the first team and then did not have anybody on the second or third team. Honorable mention, Ian Martinez shows up. Honorable mention.
I fine for Ian. That's fine. But if you were going to ask me, okay, one of these two made it, Falslev or Ian, for honorable mention, I would have told you Falslev.
So, Player of the Year, Great Osobor. Defensive Player, Lamont Butler. That's deserved. From San Diego State. Newcomer of the Year, Great Osobor. Six-man of the Year, Amzil from New Mexico. And then Josh Aduje earns co-six-man of the year.
Good for him.
Freshman of the Year, Falslev does not make that. There were 2 of them, and these were deserved. Dayton Thomas and JT Toppin, both fantastic players. And your Steve Fisher, Coach of the Year for the Mountain West Conference, Danny Sprinkle.
There you go.
No big shocker there.
So you sweep the Coach of the Year and the Player of the Year.
Player of the Year and the Newcomer of the Year.
Those are a couple of good ones to have.
And and you share the Sixth Man of the Year.
Those are some really nice honors. Does feel like Falslev got left out a little bit, but those are some really nice honors. So, Great Osobor gets the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year. The other Aggie to get it was Sam Merrill?
Sam Merrill won it into the 2019 season.
Okay. Did outside of Sam Merrill, they had 2 or 3 other first teamers on that team?
Yeah. I think Nemish Keita was on the first team and won Defensive Player of the Year. And Nemi should have won it 2 years after, but they did not give it to him.
Did Craig Smith win
Coach of the Year? Yeah, his first year.
Look at Utah State grabbing Coach of the Year honors here in a.
Now that was Sam's junior year. His senior year, he did not win it. And then that's when San Diego State only had like 1 loss, and that's when Sam hit the shot. And Sam won Mountain West Conference Tournament Player of the Year, but not the Player of the Year that year.
Are you a little bit surprised about Great Osobor?
A little bit. I really thought if they were going to go a big man, it would be Jaden Ledee. I thought Darius Brown gave them their best chance to win. I thought it would be either Darius Brown or Jaden Ledee.
How much of them grabbing an outright title do you think?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
That's kind of what I would pin it on. But.
And I think if you're a voter, you kind of you feel somewhat obligated to vote for the best player, in your opinion, on the best team in the conference. And with Utah State winning the regular season title, you're thinking, okay, well, I have to put a player on from that team. And point guards, there's so many great guards in the league, in the Mountain West Conference. I mean, it is just stacked with guards. And so you're thinking, well, Great Osobor is the leading scorer on the best team in the conference. I'm going to vote him for Player of the Year. So I guess that's where they went. Now, remember, this is the official Mountain West. This is not a media vote. There is a group of people that do a media vote that came out yesterday. This is all from coaches. This is not media. I did not have a vote on this.
It's all just coaches.
This is a coach's vote.
What do you think Utah State's best regular season win was? Is it that road win at UNLV?
I think it was the home win against San Diego State.
Okay. Close one.
And it might be the home win against New Mexico, too, honestly.
So you would give their best game of the year, you'd give it to them on a home victory?
Yeah. I mean, the UNLV game was crazy. The Boise State game, that was a nice... that might be that Boise State game, too.
At Boise State?
Yeah, because Boise State, look, Boise State was right there. And so, there's a lot of good wins. This tournament's going to be tough, man. I can't wait. I cannot wait to get down there. I love the Mountain West Conference Tournament. It's always been one of my favorite events to cover, even when BYU and Utah were back in it in the day.
Yeah.
It is just, everybody shows up. There's great attendance. It's just jam-packed with people. And it's going to be a madhouse down there. Like San Diego State fans are going to be there. Nevada's, as good as Utah State is, Nevada might be playing the best basketball out of anybody in the conference right now. And so their fans are going to have that thing packed. That place is going to be absolutely electric. Hey, just come down, man.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but
I guess we got remotes and stuff.
we got a lot we got to hold down here. So I'll stick around, make sure all of our clients are
Do we need to do this next year?
smiling and happy.
Do we need to block out so we can get the whole show down there? Lloyd, get somebody fill in, and we all just go down to Vegas next year.
Yes.
Yeah, I would imagine the Big 12 tournament will be there, but as you mentioned, they had a contract that ran.
It sounds like
They
that's
got
through
a few more years.
It sounds like it's through 2027.
That's stupid.
It's in Kansas City.
That is stupid.
Rip up the contract.
Who wants to go to
Pay
Kansas
out.
City?
Well, I don't know. I can tell you, nobody from the West,
No.
nobody out here wants to go to Kansas City.
And look, if you're on the Big 12 beat and you're covering Oklahoma State or you're covering Kansas State and you're one of these reporters or your radio guys, do you really want to just go to Kansas City, another Midwest place, or would you rather go to Vegas?
What a dump of a city Kansas City
Oh, it is. Just the worst.
Well, I think I've made it really clear. Like I think Vegas has just become a cesspool. It is disgusting, despicable. I cannot stand Vegas. But when it comes to housing an event,
Sell it.
when it comes to housing an event, they do house an event
Yes.
really well.
Yeah, they do.
Usually you can get a hotel room that's either a quick Uber ride or a walk away. It's
You know where I'm staying?
no, where do they got you?
I am not particularly thrilled about where I'm at. And I didn't book it. It was booked for me. But let's just say where the ultimate demise of O.J. Simpson happened is where I'm at. The old Palace Station.
Oh, I
Wow.
actually like the Palace Station.
I've never been there. All I know is that's where O.J. got pinched.
Yeah, it is, and I like it.
Really?
I do.
It's
It's on the northern side.
I've always felt like it was a dump or a dive, but
Well, it isn't your Aria. It's not that some of the royalties places that maybe you've been. It's not even South Point. It's not South Point.
no.
It's not that.
Is
good.
that where the team's staying?
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but yeah.
Yeah, I actually really like it, but that's just me. That's a place that I've stopped and stayed at quite a few times. I like it. And it is it's further away from the Strip. It's actually, you can get into Fremont or you can get into North Vegas pretty quick and easy.
I don't know
All
why
right.
I am not visualizing Palace Station. Why
Well, no,
am I not visualizing where this is
it's
at?
always when you're driving into Vegas, it's always on that west side of I-15.
Yeah, it's just to the
And
right.
so I've always seen it, and because every time I drive by it, I'm like, oh, that's where OJ got popped.
It's just a big square brick
So
building.
I've never been there. I've never stayed there. I've always had bad connotations in my mind. And then when they're like, hey, we got you up at Palace Station, I'm like, wait, what?
Will you take? Never mind. I was going to make a joke. Never mind.
You make an AJ joke?
No, not a Najee joke. It's going to be an OJ joke, but no, never mind.
I don't think you're going to get in trouble for that, so do it.
I just wanted Scotty to maybe put on a picture of Scotty with a
Glove?
a tiny glove that's not fitting. I don't know.
What?
If the glove.
Do you want him to car crash that?
The glove does not fit. You must have quit.
Hey,
We'll car crash it. I was reaching.
hey, right now, it's looking like BYU's first round opponent is going to be Central Florida.
UCF, the Knights leading.
Central Florida's up 68-49 with 5 minutes left. 68-49 with 5 minutes left. BYU plays them, and that will be the early morning or the early tip time tomorrow. So you'll be able to catch that on ESPN2. That game will be wrapping up while we're rolling on the show, Scotty.
Yeah. And on Thursday, we'll have, I'll be able to hang out a little bit with you on Thursday for the first segment of the show. And then we'll split the signals. I'll have the game on 1280. Game will start at 1 o'clock, pregame at 12:30. Utah State will play the winner of the Wyoming-Fresno State game. And so that game will be starting at 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. And then hopefully they win that game. And then on Friday, that game will be Friday night. But we got you covered, man. College hoops from top to bottom. Let's go, baby.
BYU played Central Florida twice in the regular season, beat them both times. Beat them 63-58 at the Marriott Center on January 13th, and then beat them 90-88 in a nail-biter at Central Florida in Orlando on February 13th.
Couple nail biters with them. Kept them tight with them.
Well, and
couple of nail biters.
Here's the thing: if you're BYU too, you're looking at it from a standpoint of you're in the tournament, you're going to have a good seed in the tournament, but you can have a really good seed in the tournament if you win a couple games in this thing. So, no bad loss. And I'm not saying Central Florida would not be a bad loss, but you don't lose to Central Florida.
No, that would be
lose to Baylor, lose to Kansas, or lose to Kansas, lose to Houston. Lose to one of those teams. Don't lose to Central Florida.
That would be a real bummer.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are kind of watching this thing playing out, interested in what BYU's first round matchup in the Big 12 championship tournament, it's going to be probably BYU Central Florida. That is going to be a 10:30 tip. That's a 10:30 tip tomorrow morning. And that'll be on ESPN2. So you can watch the first round on ESPN2. They're not going to bury it on the Big 12 now, ESPN Plus, which is a big old fancy way of saying you can't find it and won't see it. But BYU Central Florida on ESPN2 tomorrow at 10:30.
Let's go. Let's get it going. Love it. All right, Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Let's work in a quick starter right here on the zone.
This is Hans and Scotty G.
Let's go.
The lineup is set, and it's time to kick off the show with the biggest topic of the day. This is the starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty starting the lineup right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, brought to you by Lee's Heating and Air, home of the award-winning line of America's Standard Furnaces and Air Conditioners. You can get your furnace tune-up special for only $59. Go to leesheatac.com. All right, Hans, Jazz in action coming up later on tonight. And, with all this college hoops going on and all the excitement going on, it's hard to wrap our brain around the fact that we still have Jazz basketball to break down because, frankly, they're not playing well. Frankly, they're just going to kind of try to park this car in the driveway and evaluate what they have on this team. And I'm still trying to find ways to get takeaways on what we should be looking for down the stretch in the season.
I am too. And, they've signed a couple of guys to these 3-year non-guarantees, so we'll watch them to see if they can compete. We're going to be talking about one of those new signees at 1:30 in the Good, Bad, and Ugly, but they did get a load. They signed a load to the team, so we'll talk about Lofton Jr. a little bit later, but they got to take on the Boston Celtics tonight, and, Jazz fans have an opportunity to see one of the best teams in the East tonight at Delta Center and get to see Jason Tatum and Al Horford and get to see Jaylen Brown, and that's a hell of a Celtics team.
Yeah.
I don't expect much from the Jazz in what they're going to be doing, but we do have David Locke who's going to come on. He'll talk about what he expects from the Jazz, and then Mike Smith, who played with the Celtics, he's going to join us at 2:30, and we'll talk a little bit more in detail with this game. But I know, Scotty, when you're hitting some of these big-time teams, I just want to see the youth kind of hang with them as much as they can.
Yeah.
And I know the youth are still dealing with injuries, and I know that they've still got guys out. And I know that there's all kinds of issues with the Jazz, but you still get to see them against a really good Boston Celtics team.
So that's the other thing, too. Obviously, you're going to watch a really good team with Boston rolling in, and that should be fun to watch on its own right there. But also, too, this is the Jazz evaluating, trying to find ways to come up with, who's the next Royce O'Neal, who's the next, who's the guy they just traded at trade deadline that they got off the scrap heap. Fontecchio. Like who are these guys? And I know that's not a lot to get really incentivized about and get overly excited about, but at the end of the day, you're still looking at the evaluation and the development of this team so that 2-3 years from now, when this team is hopefully a Western Conference title contender, you're seeing exactly what you have available to you. But I understand the frustration. The crazy thing is this is why I think, and this is maybe a bigger conversation here, this is why I think Major League Baseball is going to be really successful here, if/when it comes. This is why the NHL, which I believe is going to come here in the near future, is going to be very successful here. Because I've been to games, you've been to games, when the Jazz are looking great and are in evaluation mode, that place is still packed.
Yeah, it is.
That place is still wild. People are still fired up about this team.
It's still the biggest ticket in the state.
It really is.
But you're right. If another professional organization comes in, I don't even think it's really going to take a chunk. I think that NHL and NBA fans are two different individuals. I think they're two different human beings, probably coming from different walks of life, probably maybe even different political alignment. But I think NBA fans and NHL fans are very different.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So if you think, oh, well, an NHL team's going to come in here and they're going to take a big old bite out of the NBA market here in Utah, I don't believe that. I think it's just going to add a different fan base.
Yes, I agree. A different demo.
There might be some crossover, but doesn't it feel like a different political alignment, different toughness, different growth, like wherever you grew up, maybe geographical, or it just doesn't feel like the NBA and NHL fan is a big crossover individual.
I agree with that. And I think the pricing's going to be a little different.
I also think that there is corporate sponsorship available that may not be as NBA friendly as it would be NHL friendly.
Yes. Yep.
Agree or disagree?
I agree with that. Yeah.
Because now there are only so many corporate dollars that might go around this state. But I do think that there is a separation, and I do think that there is a branch of corporation that's looking for a different type of investment, a different type of sports investment.
Yep.
That the NHL could really present something nice for them.
And I do think the NHL also provides an opportunity for a fan base that may not be able to afford an NBA ticket. Like, I think the pricing will be a little different. That's just me guessing. I think it's a different economic ticket, if that makes sense.
I do wonder if early on, this is if and when, if early on it'll be flooded a little bit, and then it will cool off after a couple of years, because
that's true.
I do wonder though, and
because the Golden Knights you were telling me, was it Scotty that's trying to get tickets, and it's almost impossible to get those tickets.
So I've got a really good buddy, old college roommate. We stay in very close touch over all these years, and he is he's a sports fanatic. He's a sports nut. And, Scotty, he does well.
Yeah.
He does really well for himself.
Yeah.
And the very first year that the Golden Knights showed up, it was flooded, but then they won. They won. And when you win, I think it just generates the interest. It really went well for the Golden Knights right out of the gates. And it got to a point where he was having a harder time getting a ticket to the Golden Knights than anything else in Vegas or any other sporting event that he was trying to get to.
Didn't he go to like a World Series game and got tickets pretty easily for that?
He was at a game, I think it was a game 6 or game 7. I'm pretty sure it was World Series. It was World Series, right?
World Series,
yeah. So he said it's really difficult, but they won. And I do think here in Utah, whatever they end up doing with their NHL team, whatever it might be, whether it's a buyout or it's an expansion, whatever they might do, I do think it's going to be pretty important for them to find a way to be competitive, very competitive in their first year, because that's what it just blew the Golden Knights up, because the Golden Knights became a household name as a new image, a new name they became a household name after year one because it was the best record by a new team in the history of the NHL, if I remember right.
Yep.
It was like the best performance, and so all of us were talking about the Golden Knights. So if something came here, that's what I would hope. I would hope that it's competitive, but my guess is the newness of it for a year, maybe even 2, would hold that market value. If they weren't competitive, it might fall a little bit. It might fall a little bit to make the prices more competitive.
Yeah.
But don't you feel like out of the gates?
There'll be a huge demand. Hockey seems less corporate to me than the NBA, but I might be mistaken on that.
No, I don't think you are. It just feels more raw.
Yeah.
And, but I'm fascinated with the NHL.
I am too.
And for those of you that don't have a lot of NHL awareness, it kind of shadows the NBA. It shadows the NBA in season. It shadows them in 82 games.
Yep.
It shadows them in a lot of ways. And so I think it's a good counterpart. I think if the same arena is housing them, it's very possible. In fact, I was on with Debbie and Dave a couple weeks ago, and they were asking about ice and court. It's very possible. There's a lot of arenas that do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a big deal.
No, it's not.
So
I mean, it's easy for us to say. For the guys that are making it happen, it's a difficult task. But
for the guys lifting the court.
But there's a lot of arenas that do it. Now, the biggest thing is going to be, and I know that there was some legislature built in, that arenas, if in fact it stays downtown, which I think it is now.
Do you?
Boy, I tell you what, a year ago, I would have bet the kids' college funds and everything that they were going to build a new arena at around the point of the mountain.
Yeah,
I think now it's staying downtown. That's just me reading the tea leaves, but that Delta Center can host it on a temporary basis, but it is going to need a massive overhaul to be able to host hockey on a full-time basis, because it's just not equipped to do it right now. I mean, and we're talking a massive overhaul. From a structural standpoint.
Wouldn't the current structure come down, wouldn't it? Wouldn't they bring the current structure down?
I don't know if it has to be that drastic, but I mean, the whole layout of the stands and how it seats is going to have to be changed. So, I mean, this is a massive gut job that's going to have to be done to the Delta Center to make it work for hockey at the level that the NHL is going to want it to be, and that Ryan Smith is going to need it to be able to generate the revenue that it needs to generate.
So I've always wanted to be more invested in NHL. I feel like my personality, and I feel like kind of a football to hockey transition it's more close than football to basketball, but I've grown to just love the NBA.
Yeah.
And love covering the Jazz. I've loved covering them over the years. But I've always wanted to be able to dive more deeply into NHL.
Well,
so there's just never been a need here in this market.
And we're going to do it for sure if it happens. 12:33, Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You need to see this Jazz team up close and in person.
Oh, that was filthy.
Listen all day, every Tuesday, for your chance to win Jazz tickets. As the Zone will give away Jazz tickets at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Every Tuesday, all season long, presented by UCCU. Love where you bang. And on your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to Hans Olsen and Scotty G. That's
right. Yeah!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It is your Jazz Ticket Tuesday right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Let's give away some tickets, shall we? What do we got today? How about the Jazz and the Atlanta Hawks? Caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. You win a pair of tickets. See the Jazz and Hawks coming up in Delta Center on March 15th. Let's go. Get those tickets.
Yeah, it's still a great ticket, and you're still going to get to see youth. And Atlanta is coming up. I believe that's a Friday game, isn't it? The 12th?
Yes.
That's Friday. So that's going to be a fun game. Should start to see guys come back from health issues and should see them load up on the court.
Yeah. And tonight, from a injury standpoint, you will not see Lauri Markkanen out on the court. And you'll also not see Taylor Hendricks out. He will be out.
But Walker Kessler's back and available.
Yes. So, yeah. Hendricks, Markkanen, those are your two big dogs that are out for this one. All right. Is it official on Central Florida yet? Is that game over? I'm trying to pull up scores here.
Yeah, that game's over.
So BYU will play tomorrow morning against Central Florida in the Big 12 tournament. Conference tournaments are a blast, man. They're so much fun.
That game went final. It's 77-62, Central Florida. So they thumped Oklahoma State pretty good.
Yep. So Oklahoma State's season is done. Central Florida moves on. They will play BYU tomorrow. Later today, you've got West Virginia taking on Cincinnati. That's your other Big 12 game. And then BYU will get started coming up tomorrow.
For those of you wondering what the order of that is, so BYU plays Central Florida, 10:30 tip tomorrow on ESPN2. If BYU wins and advances, they'll see Iowa State, and that will be a 6 p.m. Central, so that's a, 5 p.m. Mountain tip? Is that right?
Yeah.
6 p.m. Central would be 5 p.m. Here in Mountain Time on ESPN2. So Iowa State would be their grand prize, Scotty, if they beat Central Florida in advance. It's a tough one.
Yeah. It's all right, though.
Iowa State's a tough game.
Well, you almost had them.
They did.
In Ames. Should have had them,
on
honestly.
Their court. They did. They had, what was it, an 11-point lead at half? And then a 14-point lead with 15 minutes left to go. And then things started to unravel.
Yep.
And I'm sure that Coach Pope is settling these guys down and helping them understand that they've got a system, stay inside the system, play that system until the very end.
Yeah.
Because this is a really good BYU team.
It's a really good BYU team, and that's what's fun about these conference tournaments too, is that you get hot and you can go on a run and beat anybody. And even though, this would be the most BYU thing ever, is to never be able to win a West Coast Conference tournament and this year win a Big 12 tournament. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that's the kind of weird year it's been for BYU, that this would be the year that would happen.
Actually, I think I messed up the order, Scotty. I think if BYU plays, if they play and beat Central Florida, I actually think that they play Texas Tech on Thursday. I've only got the write-up here in front of me. I've got the Big 12 official write-up and release. I don't have the actual bracket. But I think that their second game, or the second round for them, third round for the tournament, would be against Texas Tech.
So, yeah, you're right. So if BYU wins, they get Texas Tech. And then if they beat Texas Tech, they'll play the winner of Houston. Houston's waiting on the Oklahoma TCU game.
Yes.
That'll be tomorrow as well. So Oklahoma will play TCU. Most likely Houston will beat that team. So if BYU beats Central Florida tomorrow and then beats Texas Tech, then they'll be in the semis where they will play Houston, who was the number 1 seed. So your 4 top seeds are Houston, Iowa State, Baylor, and Texas Tech. And BYU as the 5 seed would play, as you mentioned, yes, Texas Tech. So BYU to win this thing has to win 4 games in 4 days, which is not easy. That's why you want to be one of those top 4 seeds, and BYU nearly pulled it off.
BYU lost to Texas Tech and lost to Texas Tech at Texas Tech.
Good old Lubbock. Beautiful city.
Tough place to play. Lost 85-78.
All right, Hans and Scotty, take a quick break, come back. We'll continue on with what you may have missed, and then we'll talk some Utah Jazz with David Locke, who will join us at 105 right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
Steve Cleveland joining us here on The Zone. There are a couple of really good college basketball stories in this community. One of them, BYU. And then there's the Utah State Aggies. Which one is more stunning, more shocking?
Because of the Big 12, because of all the notoriety and attention and such a huge thing in the community and throughout the state, I think all eyes were kind of looking at BYU's in trouble if they continue to play the way they're going. So I think they were more of a surprise. Danny Sprinkle has been a good coach. Their story is amazing. My emphasis would be more on BYU because of the national stage where they had really struggled the previous 2 years, but not far behind to beat Danny Sprinkle and his team. Two great teams, very proud of both, but I think the story lies with BYU in terms of just kind of the national scene, this national stage.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10. Presented by Murdoch Hyundai, Utah's #1 Hyundai dealer for 16 years in a row on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hope you're all having a great day today. Hey, remember, it's your chance to nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest, and then listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner as we celebrate the efforts of those who volunteer making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, brought to you by Hercules Credit Union.
Is there anything in NFL free agency that's blowing your skirt up over your head?
Not individually. I'm fascinated by the whole process.
Yeah.
I just think that all of a sudden the market for backup quarterbacks, I think, is fascinating. Mm-hmm. Guys are getting paid to back up starters.
Yeah, they are. Jameis Winston just got picked up by the Cleveland Browns to back up Deshaun Watson. And he just stepped in front of Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah, those are two real high-character guys there running that quarterback room for Cleveland.
They're like, let's lean into this. Let's go ahead and just lean into this. So you've got Jameis Winston and Deshaun Watson that are trying to navigate the Cleveland Browns. I think it's going to work out terribly for them eventually. Then the other big headline was Marcus Mariota with the Washington Commanders. And I started looking at Marcus Mariota, and I'm like, man, first of all, he didn't pan out the way I thought he would.
You thought he'd be a good pro?
I did.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be a good pro. I thought he was athletic enough.
I always worry about those, those Oregon, those system guys that just, when they get to the next level.
Yep.
And, but I was with you. I thought he had the skill set to be able to translate the next level. But to his credit, though, he still gets jobs. I mean, he may not be a high-level starter, but he's still getting paid, and God bless him for that.
It's getting paid big, $6 million, and it could be $10 million. I think that it's got some starting bonus in there, Scotty. Some playing bonus, maybe some postseason bonus, but he could make $10 million.
Jeez.
Which is pretty darn good for Mariota. It's his fifth stop in the NFL in, let's see. It's fifth stop, but I think it's 4 different teams in 5 years, or it might be 4 in 4 years now, making this move with Washington. It feels like he's got like on a 4-year swing, different teams each year. You never know exactly where Marcus Mariota is going to be.
Even Drew Lock's getting paid a 1-year, $5 million guaranteed deal with the New York Giants. I'm a little nervous. Like, look, I know my Broncos have like no money, but are we really going all in on Jarrett Stidham here? Because, like, I mean, like
that's where they're going.
Like even who's the old USC guy? Sam Darnold. He ended up somewhere. That's a guy I thought would be coming to Denver. Jameis Winston. I thought maybe his connections with Sean Payton might be coming to Denver. No, obviously that's not going to be the case.
Stidham's a gamer. Don't
Stop it. Don't need it from you.
I watched it.
Not ready for you.
I seen it.
Hey, you got Minshew over there. You calm it down.
How many years was Mariota with the Raiders?
Just a couple.
Was it just a couple?
I've been through. He got injured at some point. It was just
a real fan would know that, Hans.
Oh, okay. Okay, you tell me, Hans.
I thought it was 1 year. I thought it was one season, but I'm not.
I thought it was 2.
I'm not positive. I just know that he was with Philadelphia last year. He's just been.
How about our guy Josh Jacobs going to the Packers?
That's going to be a good one for the Packers. Did I see Saquon Barkley's leaving New York?
I don't know about that one.
Okay. That might be wrong.
I've seen him rumored, by the way.
Well,
I've seen him rumored with the Eagles.
I saw an ugly back and forth between him and Tiki Barber. He was yelling at Tiki to keep his mouth shut, not worry about it. That he'd done all these things, and Tiki said, "Well, you're dead to me," kind of thing. And I kept thinking, why? First of all, why does Saquon care what Tiki thinks, and why does Tiki care so much that he's gonna act like a big crying baby when Saquon's probably trying to do the best for his career?
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, too, it's Tiki Barber. Like, come on.
It's Tiki Barber. Calm down. Move on.
Like, that dude retired, and the Giants immediately won a Super Bowl after that.
Oh, it looks like that looks like there's a deal done with the Eagles. Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles, huh?
Deal. Yeah, that looks like it. Working on it. I read some funny tweets about it. People were saying how grumpy Saquon Barkley is going to be when Jalen Hurts is at the 1 yard line and takes it in himself.
Oh, jeez. Doesn't hand it off.
Yeah, no, doesn't hand it off because 1 yard line. Eagles are typically going to do the QB keeper.
Yes,
Saquon Barkley is essentially becoming a glorified fullback to push Jalen Hurts in the back.
Yep. He's going to do all that work and get you down to the 2 yard line.
And unfortunately for Josh Jacobs, he doesn't get to play the Broncos twice a year anymore. So that'll hurt his numbers.
So you're saying Saquon is done?
Yeah, apparently going to the Eagles. Yeah. As I mentioned, Sam Darnold. And again, this is Sam Darnold, everybody. So let's just realize it's Sam Darnold. And again, it's only a 1 year contract, but the Vikings are paying him $10 million next year.
What?
Sam Darnold got a $10 million contract next year.
The Vikings just have money to throw around.
Well, I mean, they lost, how you like that? Kirk Cousins, he's gone, so they got to fill that role.
Is it going to be weird that the Broncos are paying Russell Wilson $37 million to play to beat them?
Yeah,
at home.
It's terrible. Stop it,
What do you mean?
I know what you're doing. Stop
it. Do the Broncos play the Steelers next year?
At home.
In Denver? Oh, of course they are. Dude, that dude's going to go for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. You know it.
He's going for 4 bills.
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
No,
yeah.
Come on, Lloyd. Don't do that to Scotty.
What?
Scotty would never mock your Raiders.
Yeah, I would. If
he's going to be like, thanks for the paycheck, guys.
Man, if the shoe was on the other foot, I'd be having a heyday right now. Like, I can't even be mad at Lloyd. I can't. Like, I'd love to. I'd love to be angry. I can't even be mad.
What did you think about this deal that the Falcons put together for Kirk Cousins? $180 million deal. 4 years.
Like, Kirk Cousins, I'm trying to think of a good comparison for Kirk Cousins because the dude just gets paid and he does all right. Like, he's a good quarterback, but he gets paid and is treated like he's a perennial, deep playoff run quarterback.
It's not Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford got paid, but he wasn't good. Like,
no, but Kirk Cousins is a decent quarterback. But it's not like...
Is he Matt Ryan?
I think Matt Ryan's probably a good comparison.
I mean, if we're going to just stay with Atlanta.
Like a solid quarterback but he's never going to lead you to the promised land.
He's always going to be expensive.
And he's going to be expensive.
And he'll play some good games. Scotty, he's going to be making $57.5 million his final 2 years in that contract. $57.5 million in 26 and 27.
It's just
57.5.
I'm telling you, whether it's Kirk Cousins getting paid that much, or even Sam Darnold making $10 million next year, it's good to be a quarterback in the league right now. It's just really good to be a serviceable quarterback because there's always going to be a need for your services, even if you're not that good. Jameis Winston should not still be in the league, but here he is. Sam Darnold probably should not still be in the league, but here he is. Garner Minshew should. How much are your Raiders paying Garner Minshew?
I'm not a real fan. Don't ask me.
Jarrett Stidham should not be in the league, but yet he may be your starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos next year.
It amazes me that we can't find and develop more prolific quarterbacks, and I wonder how much of it's system and how much of it's quarterback. But let's say that the NFL gets money hungry and they do want to push into the future and start to develop a little bit, move from 32 teams to, let's say, 34 teams or 36 teams.
2 years, $25 million for Garner Minshew.
Jeez. So when we're talking about these quarterbacks, what they're paid and what they do for their teams, I know when you pair the right quarterback with the right coach, then you get a Mahomes and Andy Reid, or you get a Tom Brady and a Bill Belichick, or sometimes you can hit lightning in a bottle. Maybe sometimes it's timing and it is the pairing with the system and the quarterback. Maybe. But it's shocking to me that we can't expand this league with the interest that's in it. We can't expand this league a little bit. Put one in Europe, put one here back in the States, give us one here in Salt Lake City, whatever it is, and be able to find the coaching and the quarterback play that can instantly make a contender.
Yeah.
And not just the quarterback play, but it's across the board. It's running backs, it's corners. Typically we can find defensive linemen, we can find offensive linemen for the most part. I just wish that we could push into expansion.
Is it
a little bit?
It's a great conversation to have. Is it the fact that everybody's running the spread in high school and college, and so you're not developing your 7-step drop traditional quarterback that might need to have that skill set in the NFL? Like, Mariota. Mariota did not play in a pro system in Oregon.
Yeah. I think that a lot of that probably has something to do with it. I've always been under the belief that there's got to be more than, what are we even talking about in the league right now? 20 quarterbacks that you would actually want? 16 maybe? 16 that you would actually want as your starting quarterback? Is it even 16?
I don't think it's that much. I think you're looking at maybe 10.
It might just be 10 out of the 32 that it's like, I'd take him at the drop of a hat.
Yep.
Pay him whatever he wants. It might be 10.
All right, Hans and Scotty coming up next. The great David Locke will join us straight ahead, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.